A big thanks to Brabura by Hearthstone Outdoor for sponsoring this episode. This is one of my favorite recipes, crispy chili beef. Most of the time you see me cooking big chunks of meat and you see those beautiful rustic food types that I love so much, but I got a confession to make. I have another favorite type of food, and that's Chinese food. And one of the coolest features about Chinese food is that it mostly is very, very inexpensive. And for the beef that I'm going to be using in this recipe, I selected this weird looking piece of beef. It looks totally crazy, right? Nothing really recognizable. For the expert, they know what this is. This is the hanger steak, also known as the butcher steak. It is one of the least known cuts out of a cow, and there's a good reason for that. Butchers don't want you to know about this because it's tender and it's cheap, so that's why they take it home. I'm going to be using my meat carver to cut this beef into thin little strips. And when doing that, I'm looking for the grain of the meat, which you see right here, and I'm going to cut my strips against the grain. That's going to give us a more tender experience in the end result. This beef has a lot of flavor, and it got that flavor because it's work type of beef. And the easiest way to see which way the grain is running is to take your fingers and just roll up the beef, stretch it out, and you'll see the fibers appear. And making it tender by cutting it against the grain is going to give you that. And I want my strips to be small, and just look at that beef and the intramuscular fat. You see how tender that is? It's fall apart tender. It just shreds in my hand, and you can always take a little bite. Beautiful. Beef tartare. Add 2 eggs and then mix it up. Of course, it's gonna need some seasoning, some salt, some pepper, just to help boost the flavors. Then add 4 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. Get your hands in and start mixing it up. And basically, we're creating a bit of better, sticky stuff on the outside of our beef. That's gonna make our beef extra crunchy and extra tasty. Look at that almost dough-like consistency. This is gonna be very, very special, flavor-wise and texture-wise. Now the beef is ready to be cooked, but before we're gonna fire up the grill, I'm gonna make a sauce first. First thing that I'm going to do is take my chef's knife and slice up the ingredients that I need for my sauce. Starting with 2 whole white onions, followed by 3 red chili peppers, 2 cloves of garlic, and a thumb size of ginger. This is the Brabura plancha made by Hearthstone Outdoor. It has a giant cast iron griddle plate with a glass-lined topping, also known as a mai. And that gives off a very specific character of cooking. It's almost like teppanyaki, but the plate's better. So we get a better crust and better effects on our crispy chili beef. I'm going to turn on 2 of the burners underneath the Brabura plancha. With these 2 burners on and set to the highest position, I'm going to get a nice hot cooking area on this side, while keeping a cooler, safe area for my food on this side. So if I'm cooking, I'm going to have a hot zone and a cold zone, so I can move my food around and it doesn't burn, and it's going to be cooked to perfection. I'm going to put a pan on the plancha to cook my sauce in. A little bit of oil in the pan, about 1 to 2 tablespoons. Once the oil is hot, add the onions. Once the onion starts turning soft, it's time to add the chilies, the garlic, and the ginger. And I really want the flavors to marry, so we got to give it a time. It's slow heat in this pan. A little bit of extra oil. Whoa, if you could just smell this. This smells really freaking delicious. Once it turns soft and glazy like this, it means it's fully cooked and you're ready to eat it. Of course, the sauce is not done, but this is an important step, so you understand that an onion is soft, and once you start eating it, you don't experience that crunch from the onion, because that's not what you want. You want a complete sauce that's rounded off and well balanced, which means fully cooked ingredients. Now add 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, 2 tablespoons of oyster sauce, 1 tablespoon of mirin, 1 tablespoon of dark brown sugar. Dark brown sugar has more flavor than crystal white sugar. It has a caramel flavor to it, which means this sauce is going to have an extra layer of flavor. And I'm going to finish the sauce off with a tablespoon of roasted sesame seed. Mix that up, let that sauce simmer for another minute, and then take it off the heat. Time for the magical moment, time to put the beef on. Now look at that sticky dough consistency. It's not loose bits anymore. This is sticky and I gotta work to make it loose, so I gotta be right on point. I got my spatulas standing by I got my oil right here, and that's what I'm gonna start with. And I need plenty of oil because I need this beef to be crispy. And then the beef goes on. Spread it out. Rotate it around. Get that oil in there. Make sure that it fries. And see, the cool thing about this plancha, it's not sticking. And I'm just gonna keep flipping and working that beef until we build up a good crust on each and every little piece of beef. I'm already getting hungry and I'm just beginning. Look at what the plancha does to the beef. That beautiful crust right there. Absolutely freaking amazing. All right, the beef is done. Every little bit has a bit of crust, which means it has picked up the flavor. We got the fry on the outside. Now we're going to add the sauce to this. And yes, I'm going to do it on the plate. So I'm going to take the whole pan and I'm going to put it on the beef. The sauce goes on. We're going to marry these components together. Look at that. Woo! Oh.
It just hits my vocal cords.
All of that spiciness from the chilies, the garlic, the ginger to freshen things up. This is done, this is married. I'm moving all of it now to the cold side of the plancha. And I'm going to let it sit there, relax a little bit. And now I have all this goodness that came out of the beef, that came out of the sauce and it's sitting right here. This is the perfect opportunity to take it and to add flavor to our dish. I'm gonna add a little extra oil to make sure that it comes off the plancha. Then I'm gonna add some leek to the plancha. I'm also gonna add some ham and some green beans. And this is gonna add color to our dish because we're making fried rice as a side dish. That's gonna make this the ultimate comfort food. And see all of that beef flavor going into that beautiful fried rice, fresh ingredients. Even if you don't have grease enough, just take a little bit of that fat from the beef and scooch it over. Of course, I'm gonna need some eggs, so I'm gonna crack them. And there we go. Can't have fried rice without eggs. Just mix them up and then chop them into thin chunks. Spread them out over the plate and then marry it again with the vegetables. Get it all in together. Last ingredient missing is fried rice. This is some pre-cooked rice which has been cooled down again. You can make this a day ahead of time if you want to. And we're just whipping this up. Who's getting hungry now? Fried rice is done. Beef is done. Time to eat. Of course, we're gonna have that fried rice. Make sure that it sits nicely in the center. Then I'm gonna put that beautiful beef on. All right, maybe a little bit more. Fried rice, crispy chili beef. That's how you make it. The only way you can do it. Holy Mother Maria. See, I'm saying things again I shouldn't be.